Love from you-know-who, Tom, darling.
Oh, God, if she finds her...
Hello?
Melinda?
Tom!
You stupid little idiot. Do you know what you've done to me?
You made the choice, remember? Either me or $5,000. And I think that's cheap after what I've given you.
Carol's seen the photos.
I wanted her to. How'd she take it?
You little bitch. She's not here. Look, you don't know her. If she gets her hands on you, she's liable to do anything.
You don't frighten me off that easily. You're the one that ought to be worried.
I'm coming over. Keep your doors locked and don't let anyone else in.
These are the last of them. The cold got at most of them. But we thought you might like to have them.
Well, thanks, Edith. And I don't put you staying outside too much. You still got that cough, you know.
Oh, I'm used to the fresh air.
You taking the medicine I gave you?
Every 4 hours. Lizzie, don't you think we might help Dr. Miller with a few chores?
Oh, yes, of course. I was just thinking, this looked as though it could do with a good wipe over.
If I find one drop of those spirits missing, Lizzie.
Spirits? Oh, I didn't even see them.
Don't you worry, Doc. I'll keep an eye on her. Now, what do you want us to do? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's my fingers. They get stiff after a little.
Isn't there anything else you ladies should be doing?
I'm sure there's something we can do. I know we could make ourselves useful.
Lizzie, God, Mrs. Jackson, you could do a person in creeping up like that.
What are you two doing in here?
Oh, we're just helping the doc do a bit of tidying up.
We thought we could brighten up the office a little.
I'm sure there are other things you can find to occupy yourselves.
I do have things pretty much under control, Edith, thank you.
You ought to kick that habit of yours, dear.
I thought you were distracting the doc.
Elizabeth.
Here are those antibiotics you ordered. They were at reception.
Oh, thanks, mate. I was on my way down when I got bombarded by the helpful committee. Tell you, I'll be glad when Liz is well enough to go back to work in the laundry.
They really are a bit like arsenic and old lace, aren't they?
Well, Lizzie is the arsenic, you mean?
Well, something like that.
There's characters like that I'm going to miss.
Then you really are thinking of going into private practice? Give up your work here?
Well, it's been at the back of my mind ever since we had that talk about us both working in the same place. Just that I thought it was time to give it serious thought, that's all.
Well, I think it's a good idea.
Bit early for spring cleaning, isn't it, Edith?
By the look of these shelves, springs have been missed out quite a lot.
Bit of dirt never hurt anyone, Ed.
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
God didn't like dirt. He should have made the world out of plastic. You reckon you're going to get any good out of that?
The more you can understand people, the more you can help them.
Like Clements.
It'll be years before I'm as good as he is.
You ought to have your head read. He's a mongrel, trying to get into people's minds to find out how they tick. He's the one that sent poor Dora around the bend.
He did not, Lizzie.
If you want to get to know people, you've got to go out and live with them and listen to what they have to say.
Would you let me get some study done, please?
Young people don't want to listen. They're always too busy getting places.
Hey, Lizzie, want to make a fourth?
Will you be all right finishing this on your own?
Good idea. Edie, love, if you're looking for something to do, you can always wallpaper my room. Okay, here we go, and Jacks are high. Well, will you look who's here, the jolly grey giant.
You don't have to do that, Edith. These women let it get like that, they should be the ones to clean it up.
I don't mind, Mr. Fletcher. I like doing it.
No, it's too much for you. Smith, Ferguson, and you've been shirking all day. Get into it.
Work's finished, Fletch. This is our time off.
No cards until it's done.
Oh, there you go.
Please, Mr. Fletcher.
You've got 1 minute to get stuck into it.
I know what I'd like to get stuck into.
Don't threaten me, Smith.
I like doing it.
You go to your room, Edith.
I thought I told you to keep this thing locked.
And I told you I don't scare easily, darling.
I'm telling you the truth, damn it. Look, I got home, the photographs are in shreds, and Carol isn't there.
Maybe she's left you.
Without taking her things? Oh, no. Look, I know my wife. She'll try to get even, and there's no telling what she might do.
Well, if she's such a nut, why don't you leave her? Tom, we could start again. Well, I was just a bit angry because I thought you were going to leave me. I'll give you the negatives if you come back to me.
I ought to break your neck showing that filth to my wife.
Filth? You were enjoying that filth when we were doing it, darling.
You little slut. You're just a pastime. You meant nothing to me.
Where are you going?
I'm going to find my wife and try to explain.
Don't leave me, Tom.
When are you going to get it through your head? We're finished. Look, I don't want my wife doing anything stupid, so lock this damn door.
But you're only trying to scare me. Well, it won't work.
Yeah, Karen, you're the expert. What do you make of a guy that gets his kicks out of walking over defenceless women?
Probably hates women because he feels inferior.
Which he is.
The only way he can boost his ego is to put them down.
I think you've been wasting your time with that university, Travis. Or is that the sort of rubbish that Clements puts into your head?
What's the matter, no sense of humour? Or maybe I'm a little too close to the truth.
You can forget about university lectures tomorrow, Travis.
Eh?
Maybe a day inside will make you realise that you're still a prisoner.
Come off it, Fletch.
You can't do that.
I've already done it.
Well, that does it. OK, girls, gather round. We're going to have to put a stop to him. Got any suggestions?
Maybe we could set him up like we did Vera.
No, the governor would never buy that. I could yell rape.
Wait a minute, there is a way. Peter Clements went through his army file. He's suffering from hemophobia.
God, is it catchy?
No, of course not, Lizzie. It just means he's afraid of the sight of blood.
Blood.
I think we've got him.
Did you find a place for Edith Wharton to live?
I wasn't aware that I had to advise you if I did. But yes, I did find something.
Well, is it suitable?
It's the best I could do.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means that it's all she can afford and the only one I could find.
Do you mind?
It's a small boarding house. She'll have her own bedroom, but she'll have to share the kitchen and bathroom.
Whereabouts?
Well, it's not one of your nicer areas, but at least there are people there of her own age group.
Couldn't you do better than that?
If you're not satisfied, then I suggest you try to do better. But I think we should let Edith decide whether she's going to like it or not, don't you?
You're taking quite an interest in Edith Wharton.
No, she's an old lady.
She's still a prisoner.
Come on, Miss Bennett, surely you're not even that hard. I mean, she was given 7 days in here because some stupid woman threw her out of her home and she had nowhere to go.
I thought she was in here for assault.
Out of desperation.
We're not in this job to justify anyone's actions, Mr. Fletcher.
What is it with you, Miss Bennett? Are you still out to get me because I took your job, or does it go deeper than that? Well, maybe you don't even understand the meaning of the word compassion.
There's a reason why we treat all the inmates equally. Show one any compassion, and you'll only cause trouble amongst the others. But, of course, you don't mind using policy for your own advantage, do you?
Oh, so that's it. You're still bitter because I bent the rules to help the police.
Is that why you did it? I thought it was just the reward money. Good night, Mr. Fletcher.
Hello? Who?
Carol Burton? Surely you haven't forgotten. You did send me those photographs.
How did you get my number?
Through the university. If you intend going into the business of blackmail, you really ought to be more careful. You're so easy to trace.
What do you want?
Dear girl, isn't it the other way round? I mean, you wanted $5,000 for the negatives. I've got it. I can't have my husband losing his good name over some one-night stand now, can I?
I want Tom to give it to me.
Sorry, dear. I don't want you seeing him again. You want the money? I'll give it to you.
All right. I'll meet you in 20 minutes in Kings Park. How will I know you?
Don't worry. I'm sure I'll be able to recognize you, even with your clothes on. But I've got a few things to do first. Make it in 2 hours' time, will you?
Bitch!
How's this phobia thing work? How does he react when he sees blood?
Well, he could be sick, Freeze up? Faint? Anything?
That's something I'd like to see. A big, strong man that did faint.
Yeah, well, I won't be there to catch
Shut
him.
up a sec. You don't reckon he could get violent?
I don't know. Depends if he can control it, I guess.
Yeah. We better play it safe. Got to find something that looks innocent. We don't want him to know we know. Not until we find out how he reacts, anyway.
Oh, it's only Ed. Hey, Ed, come here and we'll tell you what we're planning to do to Mr. Fletcher.
Shut up, Lizzie.
What are you going to do?
Oh, nothing, Eddie. Just play a joke on him, that's all.
I'm sure the poor boy doesn't mean any harm.
Yeah, well, it's time the poor boy learned his lesson, that's all.
Where are you going?
God, you scared the living daylights out of me.
I don't want you leaving this flat.
And I didn't think you cared anymore.
Carol hasn't come back home.
How sad for you.
Listen, you little fool. That means she's out there somewhere in God knows what state of mind. If she finds out who you are, she's just as likely to become violent. Can't you understand a simple fact like that?
You do care what happens to me, don't you? Don't you, Tom?
I don't want Carol being locked up for something you brought on yourself.
You're only worried about your precious wife.
I told you how I feel, Melinda.
Get out.
I'll let you know when I...
Get out!
Where are they?
Have you got the money?
You're under arrest for blackmail.
What happened? What have you done?
Nothing, darling. I just wanted you to come and pick me up, that's all.
Why all the mystery on the phone? I thought you'd been arrested or something.
Well, actually, I wanted to surprise you. I've solved that little problem for you. Your little tart's been arrested for blackmail. Well, I phoned the police this afternoon and they told me to go through with paying her off. She was caught red-handed. I'm afraid the negatives will have to be kept as evidence. Such a pity to bring this all out into the open, isn't it, darling? I mean, the newspapers will have a field day. Senior lecturer at university playing around with one of his students.
I'll be ruined.
I'm sure we'll ride out the scandal together. But it's probably best that you do resign.
Take her through, Sergeant, will you?
You bastard! You set me up!
That's enough of that. You don't want any more charges against you.
You'll get what's coming!
Mr. Burton, isn't it? Your wife did the right thing in coming to us. It's the only way to stop a blackmailer.
What'll happen to her?
Or we'll hold her overnight. She'll be up before the magistrates in the morning. With that letter she sent your wife and being caught in the act, we'll have no trouble in sending her for trial.
Poor darling's been under such a strain. Come along, darling. We've got such a lot to talk about. Your new job. Something that'll keep you out of temptation,
In Melbourne town there was a jockey. Jimmy Fletcher was his name. He rode a horse called Silver Bridle.
You'll have to get the doctor to agree. They are hard sold, most.
Wordsworth, if you can't keep it down to a whisper, just shut your mouth altogether.
Oh, Miss Bennett, I was only trying to be cheerful. Poor Jimmy.
Then we'll have to get someone to keep the doc occupied. Give us time alone with Fletch.
That's enough, Wordsworth. I won't speak to you again.
Oh, some people don't know a good tune when they hear one.
Will we give it a go? Why not?
Could you two hurry up in there? You've been in there long enough.
Hey, Vera, how are you and Fletch getting on these days?
That's none of your business, Smith.
I don't know how you put up with him. If it was up to me, I'd take him down a peg or two.
Well, it isn't up to you, is it?
No, but if you ever need a hand, maybe we can help you. Well, maybe you could help us.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. Just thought you might be able to do us a favour.
I'm not about to take sides with you lot against a fellow officer. And don't you forget it.
Oh, don't worry, Vera. We won't forget it.
No, I'll be looking for a fully equipped surgery. It's a little bit out of my price bracket, I'm afraid. Do you have any other areas? Just a minute. Yes, I see. Okay, well, I'll keep checking with you. Thanks for your help. Come in. Well, must be important if the Women's Committee wants to see me.
Yeah, sure is, Doc. We've come up with what we think's a pretty good idea.
The answer's no.
But you haven't even heard it yet.
Anything connected with you three means trouble. The answer's no.
Oh, come on, Doc. You might even like it.
All right. Make it snappy, huh?
I've got a good mind not to tell you now.
Suit yourself.
But seeing as it's so important to the other women, I'll swallow my pride. Now, the other day when Lizzie had that heart attack, she nearly copped it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And why? Because none of us knew what to do. Everyone panicked. So I reckon it's about time we learnt some of the basics of first aid.
Yeah, and it'd come in handy for when we get out, too.
Yeah, and when you beat Fred up, you can patch him up afterwards.
Stay away from there, Lizzie.
I haven't even touched anything. Anyway, so what do you say, Doc? You reckon you'd like to teach us a few things? Yeah, like bandaging and all that sort of thing. I mean, a lot of people get hurt in here. Yeah.
Well, I don't think that's such a bad idea at all. I'll have to check with Mrs. Davidson first, of course.
Oh, good on you, Doc. You're a good sport.
Yeah!
Well, at least they'd be involved in something constructive. I'll go along with it.
What do you think, Meg?
Well, it would give them something to do after they go back to being housewives or whatever.
I can't see it doing any harm, Mrs. Davidson.
The thing that bothers me, it was B. Smith and her cohorts who suggested it.
I'll be there to keep an eye on them.
All right. When do you want to start?
Well, this morning, if possible. Well, they're still enthusiastic.
Couldn't you wait until they finish work?
It's not the whole prison. There's only 7 or so who are interested.
I don't think it'll matter just this once for the women to miss a morning's work, Mr. Fletcher.
There is routine, Mrs. Davidson.
Routine leads to boredom, and that's where most of the trouble starts. While you're here, Dr. Clements will not be with us for about a week. His replacement resigned rather suddenly, so he had to go back to the university.
Well, how much longer is he going to be with us?
Until he finishes his report on prisons. Which reminds me, your report on Karen Travers. Was it absolutely necessary for you to stop her from going to classes this afternoon?
Yes, it was, Mrs. Davidson. It was a matter of discipline. Just because she's a university student doesn't mean to say she stops being an inmate.
All right. Thank you. It's a wonder Miss Bennet and Mr. Fletcher don't get on a little better.
They do seem to think alike.
Wharton? Miss Vernon would like to see you.
Thank you. Miss Bennet, I got a problem. I suppose I should speak to Mr. Fletcher himself, but I don't want him to be too hard on the women.
Well, you can tell me.
Oh, yes. I think the women are going to make it difficult for him.
In what way?
I don't know. That's the problem. But I thought perhaps you could warn him. Oh, don't say I told you, but ask him to be a little careful.
You don't have to worry about Mr. Fletcher. He can take care of himself.
The 2 most common ways of taking the pulse rate are the radial pulse and the carotid pulse. The normal average pulse rate is between 60 and 80 a minute, the average being 72. Count the number of beats in 30 seconds, multiply by 2, this will give you the average per minute. Now, I'll demonstrate on Lizzie. The rest of you take the person next to you. And the radial pulse is taken at the front of the wrist over the radial artery.
Ow!
Not so hard, you only need to press lightly.
Look, I hate to tell you this, Phil, but you ought to be 6 feet under.
It seems to be going all right. I'll check in again later.
Oh, come on, Doc. When are we going to get down to the real important stuff like cuts and bandaging and breaking up?
All right, all right.
Terrific, Doc.
Well, at least it's close to the shops and transport, so that'll be a big help. And if you like, I'll drop you there tomorrow.
Edith? Whatever you say, dear.
I'm sorry I couldn't find you anything better. But it was a little difficult.
As a person who's slept under bridges, I'm sure I like it. I've made some nice friends here. And you don't expect to do that?
Well, there are other people in the boarding house who make friends with them, too.
Do people ever look through you?
Depends what I've said or done.
They do when you're old. Maybe it's because they can't face the fact that that's what they'll become. So they're best to ignore you.
Well, that's not true of everyone.
When they notice you, you're treated either as a child or senile. And I'm not either.
No.
As long as I've breath in my body and my mind still works. Mind you, I do get a bit forgetful at times. I'm capable of looking after myself.
I'm sure you can do anything you put your mind to.
No. No. I need to be useful and needed. You need other people about for that. Age hasn't anything to do with that, has it?
Yeah, it's not bad. I'll just pull that over to support the elbows, eh? That'll be fine.
I think we need some more bandages.
Well, we've gone through all those already.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yes, all right.
Can I give you a hand?
Yeah, I want to talk to you anyway. Won't be a minute, Jim.
Hey, what do you think you're doing? I won't be able to breathe.
Oh, I thought it might be a bit of an improvement, Money.
Oh, look, cut it out, B.
It is a bit of an improvement.
Oh, shut up.
It's enough out of you, Ferguson.
Oh, what are you picking on me for? Look, I said cut it out, B.
Don't shove me a great. Can't you take a joke?
I pushed her so hard she hit
Oh,
it.
she got her head
Come
as
on,
hard as a rock.
break it up.
What's the matter, Mr. Fletcher? You've gone as white as a ghost.
Hey, what's the matter, Fletch? A little bit of blood never hurt anyone.
There you are. Had you all fooled for a minute, didn't I?
If you think that that's funny, you've got another thing coming to you. I'll make you laugh on the other side of your faces. You're nothing but a pack of sick, revolting, disgusting women.
Mr. Fletcher, I demand an explanation of this immediately.
Good, I'm glad you came along, Mrs. Davidson. He just flew off the handle for no reason.
There must have been some reason. Now, what was it?
Well, I just spilled a little drop of mercurochrome and... Oh, Mrs. Davidson, I'm an old woman. He's got no right to yell at me like that.
There must have been more to it than that. Well, Mr. Fletcher?
I'm afraid I overreacted, Mrs. Davison.
I see. Finish what you were doing, please. I would have expected something like that from some of the inmates, but not a member of my staff. All you succeeded in doing was making an absolute exhibition of yourself. It had better not happen again, Mr. Fletcher.
Well, well, well. So the big man's even afraid of them finding out about his little secret.
I just told him what I thought of him. Not enough to stop me going to uni. That guy's got a bee in his bonnet about people studying psychology. Must have something to hide.
Such as?
I don't know.
Look, just stay out of his way. You haven't got long to go.
I just don't like seeing him push people around.
B. Smith and her crowd can look after themselves. You know, university seems to have made you a lot stronger. Or is it just my imagination?
It's this place.
Yes?
A new prisoner's just arrived. Could you give her a medical now?
All right. You better tell the others to pack up.
Inside.
Karen!
What are you doing here?
Oh, thank God there's someone in here I know. But I didn't know you were a crim.
I didn't know you were one either.
Come on. We'll have plenty of time to talk later.
I'll catch up with you later.
There's a smock behind the screen, if you'd just change into that, please. Where do you know Karen from?
We go to the same lectures at uni.
Have you told Erica about leaving?
No, I was going to leave it until I got a definite date. Wouldn't harm to warn her, I suppose. Meg, has Jim been picking on any of the women?
He's strict, but I don't think he's singling anyone out.
Well, Karen seems to think he's got a special dislike for psychology students.
You've been listening to her quite a lot lately.
It's a bit unfair, isn't it?
Is it?
Your Mr. Fletcher doesn't seem as worried about you as you are for him.
You must have been awfully hurt to make you so bitter. Oh, I know yours must be a difficult job, but it doesn't make you any the less a human being. You must have some feelings, Miss Bennett.
How dare you speak to me like that?
I've been so lucky in my life, now I come to think of it. I've had so much love, more than most. If you're not careful, you'll be old and hard before you know it.
What made you say that?
It's an old saying.
It was one of my mother's favourite lines.
Some mothers do say these things because they care.
Oh, what would you know about it? Now hurry up, I've got work to do.
I've had few regrets in my life. I only hope you won't.
Look, I don't need a lecture from someone who's made a mess of their own life. Just because you're old, you think you can get away with saying anything. Well, not with me. You're just the same as anyone else in here.
Oh, thank you, Miss Bennett. You're the first person who hasn't made me feel different.
I was hoping we wouldn't get any more remand prisoners. We don't have that many single cells.
Well, there's that one in Karen Travis's block.
Oh, that will have to do. And they know each other. Do you feel like a cup of tea?
Oh, thank you.
Did Greg tell you he was branching out on his own?
Yes.
It's not going to be easy to find a good replacement. Not many doctors want to take on a position like this.
Thank you.
I know you told me once before it was none of my business, but it will be easier with Greg working elsewhere.
Well, we're not seeing each other anymore. We're friends, that's all.
Oh, I am sorry, Meg. You know, I often think about the women in here and how difficult it must be for them without husbands and family, but it's hardly any different for us.
Aid! Wait till I tell you about that Mr. Fletcher. He made a proper fool of himself in front of the governor.
I don't want to hear about that, Elizabeth. At your age, you should have more sense.
Oh, he'll get over it. You seen Miss Vernon yet? Find you somewhere nice to live?
Yes.
A room of your own? Oh, you better watch that. Suppose you forgot to take your medicine again.
I think I did.
God, who's gonna look after you if I'm not around? I'd like a nice room of my own. All my own things around me. Haven't got much, but still...
Oh, you'll have a room to yourself after tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't sound quite so good now. I don't like being on my own.
Wordsworth, why aren't you inside cleaning up the recreation room?
'Cause I'm out here talking to my friend.
Inside.
On my way, Mr. Fletcher.
Edith, I'd like to talk to you about finding a place to stay when you get out of here.
Miss Vernon did that.
Yeah, I know that. I meant someplace better. Well, what I mean is that I'd like to help you out financially.
I'm no charity case.
Yeah, I know that. It's just that I've come into quite a lot of money recently, and, well, I won't be using it all.
My pension check's quite enough.
Edith, I don't want to see you ending up in some flea-ridden hovel.
I can't think why you want to help me.
I just do, that's all.
I've been around long enough to know that people don't do things for no reason.
You remind me of somebody.
There must be something more to it than that.
Well, my parents were killed in a car accident when I was 7. And I was brought up by my grandmother. Now, she was one hell of a lady. She went without quite a lot, just so she could keep me. Well, I never really got the chance to thank her, you see, because, well, she died just after I went into the army.
Mr. Fletcher, there'll be others that need the money more than I do. The ones with a future. I've lived my life as I wanted to. And I'm sure your grandmother did too.
Yeah, well, I don't hold with messing with married men.
Yeah, that's why they got put in here in the first place. Doing away with her husband's girlfriend.
Well, I didn't know he was married till after we were involved.
No, men, they're all alike. Cheat on their wives, and when the going gets rough, turn around and kick their girlfriends in the teeth.
Don't I know it? Why didn't you just clobber him? Why'd you go for a measly 5,000?
I wanted to hit him where it hurt most.
I like the kid.
Smith, Ferguson, I want a word with you two.
Oh, whatever you say, Miss Bennett.
Did you have to go through the Spanish Inquisition when you arrived?
Mm-hmm. But I wasn't nearly as good as you.
I want to know what you two did to Mr. Fletcher.
Don't know what you're talking about, Vera.
Oh, come off it, Smith. You were up to something, and he wasn't very happy last time I saw him.
You had your chance.
And I thought you screws stuck together.
If an officer can't do his job properly, we ought to know about it.
Ah, no, Vera. If you want to find out about him, you'll have to do it all on your own.
I could report you to the governor.
For what? Has he said anything?
Everybody has a weakness, Vera. Have you got any we should know about?
Shut up, Molly.
Thanks, Ferguson. Oh, Birdsworth, watch where you're going.
Oh, it's all cleared up. No, it's going to give you a hand.
Well, you can always take it back to the dock for us.
Hey, B.
Yep.
You know, I reckon we should teach Fletcher another lesson after what he called us.
Yeah, if he turns nasty, we can always report him to the governor.
You didn't tell me there was another new one in here. G'day, love. If you want to know anything about this place, you just ask me. Me and the governor are like that.
How can you bear it? I mean, that Smith woman's a murderess.
It's what you do in here that counts.
You mean you don't mind these women?
Why should I?
Well, they let you go to uni. You can't have done much wrong. Oh, God. What have you got in common with them?
Righto, give it a bill now.
That's got it.
Yep, certainly is.
I reckon it'll take a man to get that unjammed. Okay, let's see how the rest of it's going to work. Oh, come on, lay it on thick, Monty. I want him to get a good dose.
Okay, I haven't finished yet.
What do you want, Edie?
I was hoping I could make myself useful. Have you anything I could do?
Nothing here, Edie, so clear off.
Yeah, go on. Find Lizzie, love.
Do you reckon she's all right?
Oh, even if she did, she wouldn't know what it's for.
Okay, do you want to test it?
Okay.
It doesn't look much like blood, though.
I will for a second, and he won't be expecting it. Yeah, I reckon that'll do the trick.
Mr. Fletcher, I thought you ought to know some of the women are out to cause trouble for you.
No, thanks for warning me, Miss Bennett.
Well, I don't know how they're going to do it. I thought maybe you might know.
These sort of things happen in prisons all the time.
Well, I got the impression that they'd found out something about you that you'd prefer they didn't know.
But why the sudden concern?
Well, maybe I can help. Look, I know these women, and if they can get under your skin, they will.
I think I can take it.
Look, if you've got something to hide, Mr. Fletcher, I suggest you tell the governor.
Oh, I'm sure if you find out whatever it is you think I'm hiding, Miss Bennett, you'll tell her for me.
If those women can blackmail you, they'll try doing the same to every officer. It'll only lead to them getting the upper hand.
Excuse me, Miss Bennett, I got work to do.
Oh, there you are, Reed. Where you been? Would you like a game of cards or something?
No, thank you, Lizzie.
Packed already?
Yes, in 1 minute. 74 years, and it takes 1 minute to pack it all away.
If you were staying here, we could really do this place up.
You can still do it up.
Still look like a prison, though.
Prison can be anywhere. You can have a prison inside yourself.
At least you wouldn't have the screws following you around.
No. No, I won't. To tell you the truth, Lizzie, I don't really want to leave. I must be getting senile. Just having a place to go to doesn't make it a home.
I got a present for you.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It'll help brighten your room up. And you gotta have something to remind you of me.
Oh, no, I can't.
I got it from him, Brother Gus, just before he kicked the bucket.
Oh, I couldn't take it, Lizzie. It means so much to you.
To tell you the truth, He was a mean old bastard and he didn't even leave me a cracker. I pinched it and I smuggled it in here up my knickers.
Oh, thank you, Lizzie. Oh, I wish I had something to give you, but oh, I'll take good care of it.
Did you really mean what you said yesterday about staying?
There's nothing for me outside.
Come on, then.
Where to?
We're gonna see the governor.
Yes.
Birdsworth and that Wharton woman have asked to see you. They seem to think it's important.
All right.
Come on, you two. Hurry up.
Well, what seems to be the problem?
Edie doesn't want to go out tomorrow, Mrs. Davidson.
Well, that's rather unusual.
And we was wondering how we'd go about trying to keep her in.
We're not running a hotel here, Birdsworth.
Miss Bennett's right, Lizzie.
Oh, you're the boss, Mrs. Davidson. I'm sure you can figure out a way. I mean, it needn't be official. We could keep it amongst ourselves.
It's out of the question. We can't keep anyone here just because they want to stay.
Maybe if you said that she'd done something wrong, that she had to stay, that she was a danger to society. Oh, I'm sure you know some loopholes, Mrs. Davidson. You said your father was a judge.
Don't be ridiculous. She's done her time and she gets out tomorrow.
But she wouldn't cost you a cent, would you, Edie? I mean, she'd work for nothing.
Really, Lizzie, you know better than that.
Well, what's she gonna do out there? Nobody wants
We're
her.
not running a charity.
I'd earn my keep.
I'm sorry. It's quite impossible.
Oh, well, we'll have to figure out some other way.
What are you talking about?
Edie'll have to go out and pull off a job. And then they'll have to bring her back in.
Lizzie, that's quite enough.
I couldn't do a thing like that.
No, and I wouldn't suggest you even think about it. Miss Vernon has found you a place to live, hasn't she?
A lousy room. What's she going to do in there all by herself all day?
I'm sure you'll settle in very quickly.
But I
am not discussing it any further, Lizzie.
You heard, Mrs. Davidson. Come on, Birdsworth, get moving. Come on. That's what happens when they're waited on hand and foot.
What do you mean by that, Miss Bennet?
Mr. Fletcher has been treating her like some prize guest. No wonder she wants to stay.
She's an old lady.
She's not helpless, but she soon will be if everyone keeps treating her that way. The minute you start acting like they're charity cases, they'll begin to expect it.
Well, she's not going to be our problem for very much longer, is she, Miss Bennet?
I was just stating a fact, that's all.
Do come in.
I want to talk to you about Edith Wharton.
I've done all I can do, Mr. Fletcher.
Yeah, I know. Look, what I was wondering is if, well, I could get some money to her without her knowing about it.
Mars, what?
I've got my reasons.
Can I give you a little bit of advice without you biting my head off?
Well, I'm not above listening.
When I first started out in this job, I used to get emotionally involved in nearly every case. I'm told I still do at times. But I found out that that was the quickest way of going insane.
Do you think you could fix something up?
I think I can.
You better just remember to take this stuff. Bloody mongrels. Every time you want to get out, they keep you in, and every time you want to stay in, they kick you out.
You did your best, Lizzie.
Bloody Vera. This isn't a hotel.
She understands more than you think.
Do you ever think bad of anybody?
I take people for what they are.
Me too. And I know just what she's like. Every time I get a friend, they either have to leave or get moved.
You'll still have plenty of friends, Lizzie. I'll visit you if you like.
Yeah. Maybe you could bring me a heart starter.
I'll do no such thing, Elizabeth.
You know, Ed, I don't reckon I'd know what to do if they ever let me out of here. I've been in here too long. People always telling me what to do and when. I don't reckon I could think anymore. You're lucky. You've only been here a week. It'll be easier for you.
Yes. Yes, it will.
Good night, Ede.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Let's move it.
This isn't the army, you know, Fletch.
You know, Ede, often think about giving these things up. But when I light one, I don't cough.
Hey, Fletch! When are you coming to our next first aid class?
If I had my way, there won't be any more.
Now, why would you want to do a thing like that?
Come on, Ede. It's time to get up. Ede? 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 Oh, Ede. Oh, no, not you.
Because she died in custody, there will have to be an inquest after the post-mortem. It's just standard procedure. Jean, do you know if she had any relatives at all?
Not that I know of.
What happens if a body isn't claimed?
The coroner's office notifies the police, and they try to locate any relatives or friends.
And if they can't find anyone?
They value her estate, and if it is under $200, the government contractors arrange for a funeral.
You mean a pauper's burial?
Yes.
This is still a working day.
Having a bit of trouble with the press, Vera.
What's wrong with it?
Oh, no, can't get the top up. Must be jammed. Oh, if Molly and I can't fix it, I don't reckon you can.
We've sent for Mr. Fletcher. He's a pretty strong bloke.
Well, there must be other things that you could be doing.
How's Lizzie?
She's all right. Dr. Miller's taking care of her.
She's a pretty tough old bird. Poor old Edith. I mean, what a way to go. In a flaming cell.
All right, what's the trouble?
Oh, I reckon the work just must be too much for her.
Really? Let me have a look. I'm sure you knew what the trouble was, Smith. Now, I want this machine working again right away.
Don't just stand there. Get busy.
Why didn't you check up a crying out loud?
I thought you were going to.
It's been wiped clean. But who the hell would wipe it clean?
Edith.
Hello? Is that the city coroner's? Yes, I'd like to claim the body of a Mrs. Edith Wharton. Yeah, that's right. The inquest was held this morning. No, I'm not a relative. I'm just a friend. Well, I'd like to make arrangements for the funeral. Right, thanks very much. No, I'll wait.
What are you doing in here, Birdsworth? You'd be better off working in the laundry.
They don't need me.
It'd be company for you. You can't sit here forever. Brooding's not going to change anything.
I know I'm going to die in here. I'm not afraid of dying, though. I know I've done a lot of bad things in my time, but somewhere along the way I must have done something right. I haven't got anyone. I just don't like being treated like a bit of old rubbish. I got no one. No one to cry at my funeral. I reckon Edie must have got tired of being so lonely. Oh.
You won't be alone in here, Lizzie.
He used to give me roses. I wish he could again. But that was on the outside, and things were different then. On the inside, the sun still shines, and the rain falls down. But the sun and rain are prisoners too when morning comes around. Last night I dreamed we were together, sharing all the love we'd known, till I had to face the nightmare of waking up alone. On the inside the roses grow, they don't mind the stony ground, but the roses here are prisoners too when morning comes around.